Welcome to the Red Story, and just subscribe so I understand that everything is not in vain. Make some tea or coffee and listen to our new story, Beneath the Quiet Roof. A cold December wind swept through the suburban streets of Hartford, Connecticut, stirring dry leaves along the neatly trimmed lawns. Inside our two-story colonial, everything looked picture perfect from the outside. White shutters, a small garden shed in the backyard, a swing set for our two children. We'd lived here for nearly 8 years of our 13-year marriage, building what I thought was a solid family life. At 39, I was working hard to give my wife, Marie, and our two young kids, Sophia, 7, and Ethan, 3, the best life possible. I'd always been a traditional provider. I worked long hours as a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing firm, pulling in overtime whenever I could. Marie, 2 years younger, stayed home with Ethan, our youngest, who was still too small for school. Sophie had just started first grade. Marie complained often, especially recently, that I worked too much. "You're never here," she'd say, arms crossed, face set with frustration. I remember her voice echoing through the hall. "You don't understand me. You don't help with the kids enough. You're too focused on money, on bills, on the damn mortgage." In truth, our fights had become more frequent. Small things set her off, misplaced keys, a late grocery run, my exhaustion leaving me silent at the dinner table. I tried to reason, "Marie, we need the income. The taxes are steep, the car payments, the insurance, the kids' activities, all of it costs money." She'd just shake her head, tears sometimes pooling in her eyes. "I want you, not just your paycheck," she once said bitterly. I believe these arguments were normal. Couples fight, especially under stress. I never suspected something darker brewing beneath our quaint domestic surface. It happened on a Tuesday, a chilly afternoon before Christmas. I left for work after another morning spat. She accused me of missing yet another parent-teacher conference. I slammed the door on my way out, furious and hurt. I love my family. I was doing all this for them. How could she not see that? That night, I returned home late, as usual. The kids were asleep, silence pressed against the walls. Marie confronted me in the living room, her eyes red-rimmed but angry. Standing beside the Christmas tree, ornaments glinting under warm lights, she finally spat words that would shatter my world. "I cheated on you, Mark," she said flatly. I froze. My briefcase nearly slipped from my hand. "What? What did you say?" My voice cracked, the warmth of the room replaced by a chill in my veins. She looked away, fiddling with a reindeer ornament, as if talking about something trivial. "You wanted to know why I've been so angry. Fine. I slept with Sam, on our bed, while you were at work last week." Sam, I knew him. A longtime friend of hers, a man I'd never considered a threat. He was about my age, worked as a freelance graphic designer. We'd all had backyard barbecues together, joked over beers. I remembered him holding Ethan once, cooing at him. Shock numbed my tongue. My mind struggled to process her confession. Our bed? The one we share? Ethan's room just across the hall? My voice rose, disbelief turning to horror. "How could you?" Marie's face twisted, not with regret, but defiance. "You didn't care about me, Mark. You cared about money and about work, not about being a husband or father. I was lonely. I needed to feel wanted." "That justifies this," I hissed, heart pounding. "I bust my back working, and you repay me by inviting another man into our home, into our bedroom?" My hand clenched into a fist, nails biting my palm. "When? How often?" She shrugged, tears finally slipping free. "Just once, recently." She paused, then her voice hardened. "Well, what does it matter now? Isn't once enough?" I shook my head in disbelief. My mind replayed morning scenes. Me leaving the house, her kissing me goodbye, telling me to have a good day. Meanwhile, she plotted to bring Sam over, lay with him where I slept, where we made our children. Rage and sorrow strangled my voice. I turned, stormed upstairs, ignoring her pleas of "wait, listen." In our bedroom, I stared at the bed, sheets neatly tucked now. She must have changed them, but could I ever lie down here again without imagining them together? Her footsteps followed. "Mark, I'm sorry," she said softly at the threshold, her tone suddenly wavering. "I didn't mean to tell you like this. I was angry. It slipped out." I whirled, voice low and dangerous. "You're sorry? That's all you have? You broke our vows, disgraced our home. What am I supposed to do? Forgive and forget?" I grabbed a suitcase from the closet. I couldn't stand this room any longer. She hovered by the dresser, tears steady now. "I know you hate me, but can we talk? We have children, Mark." I clenched my jaw. "You thought about them before spreading your legs for Sam?" The cruelty of my words shocked even me, but I couldn't stop. Her twisted into a blade. "You won't need to be understanding now. Too late." She sobbed. I was lonely, desperate. "Stop." My hand shot up, silencing her. "Spare me the excuses." I yanked open drawers, grabbing clothes at random, stuffing them into the suitcase. "I'm leaving tonight. I won't spend another minute in this house, in this bed, tainted by your betrayal." She begged, voice cracking. What about the kids? My heart clenched at the thought of Sophia and Ethan sleeping down the hall, innocent and unaware. I'll come for them. I managed, blinking hard. They deserve better than this mess you created. Her face contorted with guilt. Please, Mark, don't let this ruin everything. I made a mistake. A mistake. I repeated bitterly. Inviting your friend over for a cheap fling is a mistake. You crushed my trust, our marriage, our family. I pulled the zipper of the suitcase violently. I'll get a lawyer. We're done. She collapsed onto the bed, sobbing loudly now, reaching for me. I stepped back, disgusted. Don't touch me, I warned and strode out, leaving her cries echoing behind me. Downstairs, I passed through the living room where the Christmas tree stood twinkling, mocking the idea of peace and joy. I paused by a family photo on the mantel, us smiling in front of a pumpkin patch last fall. It felt like looking at strangers. I exited into the chilly night, threw my suitcase in the car, and drove. I ended up at a motel near the highway, shaking from adrenaline and despair. The next morning, calmer, I phoned a lawyer recommended by my colleague. The lawyer's voice was steady, offering practical advice. Adultery provides strong grounds for a favorable settlement, he said. We'll protect your interests. I leaned against the motel's chip dresser. I want full custody, I said, surprising even myself. The kids need stability. She's shown no respect for us. The lawyer was reassuring but cautious. We can try. Judges weigh many factors, but your stable job, her breach of trust, it helps. We should also consider a paternity test if you doubt anything. My stomach churned at the hint that Ethan might not be mine. I'm sure he's mine, I whispered, though I wasn't sure of anything anymore. But maybe a test. Yes, just to know the truth. Later that day, I drove to a friend's place, my friend Jacob, who'd offered his spare room. When I told him everything, he swore under his breath, furious on my behalf. Mark, man, I'm sorry. I never liked that Sam guy. He always gave me weird vibes. I shrugged, hollow inside. I should have seen something. But I believed her always. Over the following week, I ignored Lisa's calls and texts. She sent messages. I'm sorry. I can't believe you left. We can fix this. The nerve. How fix something after such betrayal? Eventually, I texted her once. All communication goes through my lawyer now. I'll arrange to see the kids soon. She tried calling immediately after that text, but I didn't pick up. At work, I kept my head down, performing at my usual standard. Only Jacob and a few colleagues knew something was off. My boss commented kindly. You look tense, Mark. Everything okay? I just nodded, unwilling to share the truth. Strangely, working helped. Numbers and projects never lied. A few days later, I met with the lawyer again, drafting the divorce papers. We planned a meeting with Lisa and her attorney. The lawyer assured me we had a strong case. She has no excuse, she confessed. You have grounds for a fault-based divorce in this state, he said. I breathed out relieved. Good. She'll try to milk me for assets. She's that way. But I won't budge. We also discussed custody. I expressed my determination. The kids deserve a stable environment. I'm hurt, but I'll never let her sabotage their future. The lawyer nodded, making notes. A week later, we met in a small conference room in a family law office downtown. Lisa arrived, looking hollow and drained. Her lawyer tried to sound smooth. My client regrets her actions. She hopes for a fair resolution. She understands mistakes were made. Mistakes? I said, voice cool. She destroyed our family. Let's not sugarcoat it. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Mark, I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I raised a hand, silencing her. You can't undo what's done. Let's just settle this. I watched her crumble again, but I wouldn't soften. She lacked sincere remorse. Her apologies felt forced, as if she only regretted being caught. Her lawyer haggled for spousal support, more visitation rights. We stood firm. Eventually, after hours of tension, we reached a preliminary understanding. The DNA test for Ethan was scheduled. Lisa wept, begging me with her eyes to reconsider. I stood, picked up my coat. I'll be civil for the kids' sake, but we're over. Back at the motel that night, I stared at the ceiling, feeling both drained and oddly freer. I had taken steps to protect myself, to ensure no more deceit would poison my life. The holiday season's cheer felt distant, but maybe next year I'd find new traditions. A day before Christmas Eve, I visited my children at Lisa's temporary place. She stayed with relatives now. The kids hugged me tight, excited for presents. My heart ached for them. I knelt to meet Ethan's gaze, smoothing his soft hair. No matter the DNA result, I loved him. That was certain. I promised them, we'll still have a nice Christmas, even if things are different. Sophia looked worried. Daddy, when are you coming home? My throat tightened. Soon, sweetheart. Things are changing, but I'm here for you always. Lisa hovered in the background, tearful, silent. I ignored her. That night, the lawyer called with preliminary results. Ethan was indeed mine. Relief washed through me. At least one certainty remained. I thanked my lawyer, tears escaping silently. Ethan was mine, and I'd give him the best life possible. In the following weeks, as the divorce progressed, Lisa attempted reconciliation twice more. One afternoon, she cornered me by the front porch of our old house. I'd come to collect more of my things. She tried a different tactic, gentle words, reminiscing about our honeymoon in San Diego, our laughter over cheap wine and motel breakfasts. I listened stonily, unmoved. Mark, she whispered, voice trembling, I do love you. I messed up. Please. I stared at her, remembering her crude confession to her friend. Rage simmered again. You call that love? You desecrated our marriage bed with another man. I shook my head slowly. No, I don't think you understand what love is. She slumped, defeated. I stepped inside, grabbed my belongings, and left without a goodbye. The finalization of the divorce took months, but I stood firm. In the end, I retained primary custody of the children, the house, and a fair financial arrangement. She got visitation and faced the reality of her betrayal's consequences. The lawyer congratulated me on a favorable outcome. I just nodded, feeling weary rather than triumphant. Still, I felt stronger, a kind of tempered steel inside me. I had walked through fire, lost the trust I'd cherished, and emerged with clearer eyes. I now knew how to protect myself, how to trust but verify, how to guard my heart and my children's future. As spring approached, I settled into a new routine. I woke early, preparing breakfast for Sophia and Ethan, driving them to school and daycare. I cut back slightly on overtime, learning to balance responsibilities better. I found that all love had failed me from Lisa's side. I still had love left for my children and potentially someday for someone else who deserved it. On a quiet evening after the kids slept, I opened a bottle of wine and sipped slowly by the window. The lawnmower in the shed reminded me of weekend chores, taxes still piled on the counter, bills still needed paying. Life was still life, but I was no longer blind or naive. I had faced betrayal, and I had survived. A faint smile touched my lips. I wouldn't give Lisa credit for this growth, but maybe in some twisted sense, her betrayal forged a new resilience in me. I'd be a better father, a wiser man, and if love ever knocked again, I'd welcome it with open eyes, never forgetting the lessons I learned when my wife betrayed me in my own bed. Outside, a night was calm, stars visible through winter's departing clouds. Tomorrow, I'd pick up the kids and maybe take them to a park. I'd show them they were loved and secure. In that, I'd find my true peace.